Welcome back to the West Sussex city of Chichester. In my last video we looked around the famous cathedral, but today I'll take you around some of the rest of the city. This is one of our traditional British red telephone boxes, but reutilised as a cash machine. I've seen these phone boxes used for swapping books too, both in Worthing and in Bosham, which are both West Sussex towns. It was raining a lot of the time, so I had to use my waterproof action camera that doesn't look as good as my other camera, so forgive the rubbish quality and the occasional raindrops on the lens. In 44 AD, after invading Britain, the Romans built a fort on the site where Chichester now is, and they called the town Novio Magus, which means New Marketplace. They built it there because it was close to the river Levant, which I'll show you later, and also to a harbour, so goods could be shipped there from France. It was built in a square grid pattern with the main roads forming a cross, which is still how it looks today. In the centre of the city is St Pancras Church, here amongst all the modern shops. It's still used for services and events like weddings and baptisms. This flint church was rebuilt in 1750 on the same site as a medieval church used to stand. The old church was destroyed in the siege of 1642. Around the 5th or 6th century, after the Romans left, the Saxons arrived. The Saxons called any group of Roman buildings a Cister, so as the town was named after the Saxon called Cissa, it was known as Cissa's Cister. It's a tongue twister. Later that changed to Chichester, then to Chichester. Time passed and not much is known about much of it, but at the time of the Norman conquest in 1066, the population of Chichester was around 1500. This soon grew to 2,500, which was a large number of people for any settlement in those days. The city walls are roughly 1.5 miles long and 7 metres high and surround the entire city. These stone walls were originally built in the early 200s, so 3rd century AD, a long time ago. After years of decay, the walls were restored in the 11th century. Chichester has held city status since 1075. By the 18th century, Chichester had gone from being a busy major town to being less significant. During this century, much of the town was rebuilt, with many houses built using brick made from local clay. It wasn't until 1875 that Chichester had a piped water supply, before which most people used cesspits or buckets which were emptied into the river. Then in the 1890s a proper network of drains and sewers were built. In 1846, a railway connected Chichester to Brighton in East Sussex, then a year later to Portsmouth in Hampshire, both of which are cities on the south coast. The population of Chichester had reached about 12,000 by the First World War, then to about 16,000 by the start of World War II. Then in 2023, there were 31,000 people living there. There's a lot more to say, so I've only summarised the history, but I'll leave a link in the description for where you can read more details. This old Grade 2 listed building through the trees was built in 1852 as a military depot. In 1879 it was used as a stable, then returned to military use from before the First World War until 2022. It was used as a military prison with residential use on the upper floor, then as a cadet hall. After being bought in 2022, the buyer applied to have the lower floor used as an art studio while living on the upper floor. Going back in the rough direction we came from, this path across grass leads to the new Park Centre community hub. Unbeknown to me at the time, it happened to be an open day when I filmed this. The community hub incorporates a cinema, judo club, Tai Chi and others, with a hall that you can rent. I was told about this mosaic while filming, but cannot remember anything, I'm sorry to say, and I can't find anything about it online. From memory, I think it was made by local school children. One of the buildings here was a junior boys' school in 1812 and faced demolition afterwards. This is the Round Hill Pitch Palace, opening in 2014. It's a modern copy of a shepherd's hut, with this design inspired by the cinematograph shows that toured with travelling fairs in the early 20th century. Just outside the city walls is Litten Gardens, a council-run public park and home to several memorials. The park is on the site of a Roman cemetery and a medieval burial ground. These are some of the ancient gravestones, the oldest being of a man who died in 1690. The medieval period was actually from before then, so I'm uncertain about the exact history of some of these gravestones. This World War I memorial was unveiled in 1921 in Eastgate Square, then was moved here to Litten Gardens in 1940. It has since had names of those who died in World War II added. Each year on Remembrance Sunday, the Mayor and other officials attend a service here. At the centenary at the end of World War I, this chainsaw sculpture made from Sussex oak was installed in the Garden of Reflection and Reconciliation. The Elstob stone was installed in remembrance of Chichester-born Wilfrith Elstob, who fell in the Great War. This is a statue of Lance Corporal Maurice Patton from the Royal Sussex Regiment, who died from his injuries in 1916 when he was only 24. He is actually buried in France. The statue shows him resting at arms reversed, a mourning stance, along with the muzzle of a rifle. A few minutes walk from the park is our first look to the River Levant, also known as the Duck Superhighway. I came across several places where the route of the river can still be seen. Here at the Needlemaker's Bridge it goes under the road. At the end of the road, turn left, then on the left up there we come to Weskins Way. Walk past modern housing and we reach Weskins Way footbridge, just 80 metres from the other bridge where we just saw the river. The river is a Winterbourne, which I've never heard of, that begins in East Dean village in West Sussex and flows west and eventually out to sea. There's so much to say about it. There's a lot of history, particularly from Roman times, but it's way beyond what I can possibly get into here. This video is getting a bit long, so before you all get bored, I'll stop it here. But look out for part 2 coming soon. Thanks for watching.